Of 12 noon, we welcome you back to the second half of hour number one of Midday here on News Talk 1400 WOND, South Jersey's leader in live, local, and relevant radio. We are broadcasting live from the Manco & Manco WOND studio. Manco & Manco is the first and last name in pizza. I'm David Spatz. Nick Wargo is at the producer's console. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we've got a segment that's just perfect for today, for this time of year. You know, in 4 days, we go to the polls to hold elections, general election that in this area is drawing a little bit of attention to the assembly race in the second district, that's Atlantic County, and in the Senate race and the assembly race down in the first district, which is Cape May County and portions of Cumberland and a little tiny sliver of Atlantic County. And this is a long introduction getting to a point, though. About 8 years ago, and I started doing a midday show here on OND, one of the first really important segments I felt that we did was when we spoke to a resident of the Seashore Gardens Living Center out on Jimmy Leeds Road in Galloway Township. Her name was Bee Reisman. We talked to Bee first about Miss America because she had been the very first Miss America pageant, but then we started talking about voting. And Bee became my regular correspondent from Seashore Gardens. Every year, either on Election Day or the day before, we would speak with Bee, and she would, at the age of 104, would be telling people why it was so important to vote. Well, this year, the folks at Seashore Gardens made a video, and they put some of their residents in front of the camera and let them have at it to tell people why it's very important to get to the polls on Tuesday.
I'm a voting expert. I have voted in 60 elections.
I'm a voting expert, and I have voted in at least 75 elections. I'm 93 years old, so I voted a long time.
I'm going to tell you the reason to vote, the real reason to vote. I'm going to tell you the real reason to vote.
I'm going to tell you the real reason to vote.
To make a difference for the next generation.
Your vote can change the world. You can change the world one way or another. Because the only way to make a change is to vote. That's something that we all have the power to do.
Not everyone in the world has the power to vote.
And I hope that everybody who sees this will also vote. It's so important.
Go vote.
Go vote. Go vote. Go vote and feel free.
And joining us now from Seashore Garden Living Center are two of those the stars of that little video, Gloria and Myrna, along with Sharon DeAngio. Sharon is Director of Donor Services and Public Relations at Seashore Gardens. And ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So, what possessed you to be part of that video? Why did you feel it was important to have both of your voices heard and reminding people that they need to get to the polls?
Well, it's a privilege to vote in this country. We're very privileged, and we feel that the younger generation are our future, and they better get out there and vote.
I couldn't.
I double that.
You second that emotion, huh, Myrna? Is that it?
That's right. It's very important. And the young people don't realize how many people have died for the privilege to vote.
Exactly. All right, you know what? Let's take you one at a time, and let me ask you an easy question, and that is, Gloria, when was the first time you voted, and who did you vote for?
Oh, good grief. I was 18
wow.
at the time.
All right, so that was maybe 15 years ago, right?
I don't even remember.
It was
who
just yesterday.
Who who did we vote for when I was 18? I don't remember
Kennedy I voted for.
You voted-
Kennedy?
Was that
That's right.
Was that your first vote? Yeah, that was your first vote.
That was it.
Wow.
President Kennedy.
Okay. Why did you vote for JFK as opposed
Well,
to?
you know, he was young, and I
Okay.
thought he had some good ideas. And I hoped, you know, he would put them in there. Just a shame that we didn't have him longer.
I'm just curious. Do either of you or both of you, do you vote for the party or do you vote for the person?
That's a hard question because at that time it was the person.
Right? Yeah, okay. A lot of people from your generation say that they cared more about the person and what their ideas and plans for the future were, not as much as they cared about whether they're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And as you get older, you start listening to what the parties have to say and what they feel. And do you agree with those thoughts? And as you find that you sort of are pulled one way or the other, that seems to be the way I vote anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I can relate to that because I'm the type of person who votes the person, not the party. I don't align myself with a particular party because if I did, then the next thing you know, someone would come along and their ideas would be different than mine, and then I'd be going crazy. So I vote for the person whose beliefs are closest to my own.
That's true.
And okay, if you had an opportunity to sit down with a room full of kids who are 17 and a half years old, in 6 months, they'll be allowed to register to vote. What would be the most important thing that you could impart to them about voting?
I would know. Go ahead. I would want to know how they would put young people to work. I think that's very important too, and things like the what was it?
Well,
No, it was the sending the children to other countries.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That was so important. The youth corps.
yeah.
Which is what we once had, and then it kind of like it disappeared. I mean, we did have the Job Corps, and I think they still do have the Job Corps and some of those programs. But I think a lot of kids today are maybe more into themselves than they are into helping other people.
I agree.
I agree too, because they don't even want to vote, half of them.
I know, you know,
The
and
ones I talk-
it's interesting because when I'm done with my conversation with you, my next segment is going to be the results of Stockton University's assembly poll in the 2nd District. That's where we are, you know, here in Atlantic County. And one of the things that the people that were surveyed were asked was about whether they plan to vote on Tuesday, and it was interesting that the biggest block, if I read this right, the biggest block of people that weren't really interested in voting this year were the ones between 18 and 30. And I sure remember last year, though, after the Parkland shooting down in Florida and everything, those 17-year-olds, they were trying to register as many people to vote as they could because they couldn't wait to be part of the process. And now here we are a year later, and that same demographic is saying, well, I don't think I'm going to vote this year. So
That's right, and a lot of them don't.
yeah, I know, and you know what? They could make a difference. They could make a change.
Definitely.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of kids out there.
People feel it's only one vote.
Yeah, that's true. But if
Such an important one vote.
exactly, especially when you start adding up one vote and then one more vote and then one more vote, and the next thing, the next thing you know,
That vote makes a big difference, that one vote.
And there are a lot of people who say, you know what, they're going to win with or without my vote. So it's raining, or I have a cold, I'm not going to go to the polls. Well, here's the way I look at it. If you already have a cold, you might as well go to the polls anyway, because you can't catch a cold from anybody there. You already got one. So, one last question: if they started an effort to vote online, because a lot of countries are now doing this, the technology is there, and also the technology to defeat anybody who can try and rig an election also exists. Do you think it would be more, the election process would be more fair if people could vote by computer, one time only, that's it, and I think it would be a hell of a lot faster to count the ballots, that's for sure.
And a lot safer.
A lot. You know what? I couldn't agree with you more. It's definitely a lot safer. You can do it right from home. You know, people do everything else. People do everything else on their laptops from home. You might as well vote. You can gamble, right? Although some might say that voting is gambling, so you never know.
We're very lucky because we can vote right here at Seashore Gardens.
That's right.
That was my next question, was how convenient do the folks at Seashore Gardens make it for you guys to vote, because you've got a polling station right there.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
So snow doesn't bother us, rain doesn't bother us.
Nothing
We're like
bothers
the
us.
post office.
They was going to say you
Person from the video just came, Elise, just came back from her doctor's appointment. So you have a third person from the video just walked in.
Oh boy. Okay. Everybody's on board. Hey, Gloria and Myrna, I want to thank you for, number one, for making that video and being part of it, because I wish that video could be seen in some high schools around the area, especially seniors who are either at 18 or approaching 18, and let them see what it's like when you spend a lifetime, taking advantage of your constitutional rights.
Right. Well, as we said on the video, go vote.
Go vote. Go vote. Sharon, thank you so much for rounding these young ladies up and getting them on here with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. If you need us Tuesday, just let us know.
I certainly will. And Gloria, Myrna, thank you again so much, and continued success with life.
Thank you for talking to us.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Take care. I love that segment. We do that just about every year, and the people change because some get older and they're not with us anymore. But Sharon always manages to come up with the right ones.
And they're lovely ladies too, and it's always intriguing and interesting to hear who they voted for, like Kennedy or Eisenhower or even Taft, if they go way back when.
Yeah.
Or even Roosevelt.
Exactly. And they have their reasons too. And it's a shame that they made the women, but they make women wait until 1920 before they could vote? Yeah, that was real smart. Anyway, we're going to take a real quick time out, let you hear some important messages, and then be back to wrap up hour number one of Midday here on News Talk 1400 WOND.